For this video, we'll be connecting to the AO1 and confirming everything is operating correctly. We've connected our sonde as per the instructions in the earlier video. We'll be using the USB cable included with the spares and tools kit to connect to the AO1. The USB port is accessible through the vent plug that can be unscrewed to remove. And this gives us access to the power switch that is inside. So you put your finger through and turn the switch on, at which point you'll see the LED inside the AO1 flash once every 15 seconds to indicate that it's running off battery power. So if you do not see that LED flash when you turn the switch on, it means the internal battery is flat and needs to be charged. So there's two ways to do this. You can either use the AC plug pack that is supplied with the spares and tools kit, which you can plug into the port just beside the switch inside the AO1, or you can place the AO1 in direct sunlight and use the solar panels to charge the internal battery. The plug pack is quicker and it allows you to charge while the AO1 is off, but if you're using the solar panels, you need to have the AO1 in the sun and turned on for the power from the panels to be used to charge the internal battery. So once you have the AO1 charged, we can then use the USB port to plug in to the USB port inside. So when you plug in, you will hear a sound on your computer like this. And that indicates that Windows has recognized a USB device. When you remove the cable, you hear the sound to indicate that the device has been disconnected. So it's really important that you listen for this sound to indicate the device has been found, and you can use this sound to indicate the device has been unplugged. So if you don't hear that sound, that means there is a problem with the USB connection and Windows has not been able to recognize that a device has been plugged in. So use the cable, make sure it's seated correctly, and listen for the sound to indicate that Windows has found the device. The other LEDs you can use to check that your setup is correct is that you can see the red light flashing on the body of the EXO sonde, and you can see the blue light is on, indicating that the sonde has been powered up and Bluetooth is available. So we will be using device configuration utility, which we also call DevConfig. That's a free piece of software that you can download from the links provided in the documentation. So using DevConfig, we will search for the type of device that the AO1 is built on, which is a CR300 data logger. So if you look under the data logger area, there is a CR300 series and a CR3000. Make sure that you choose the CR300 series, not the CR3000, which is a much older data logger model. So we are using the CR300 series data logger that is built into the AO1. So once you've found the CR300, use the install USB driver to install the driver on your computer using the installation wizard, and you can accept all the default settings and then finish. And then we can use the direct connection type. We will be covering the IP connection type in a later video. So this is dealing with the direct connection, which is using the USB cable. So once you've selected direct connection, the communication port, you can use the pull down arrow to choose from the available serial ports. And if you don't see CR300 here with a COM port in brackets, it means that the driver has not been installed correctly, or that the USB cable is not seated correctly and Windows has not recognized the device. So if that is not showing CR300, follow the install USB driver sequence again and make sure that the USB cable is plugged in and giving you that Windows recognized sound. Okay, so the remaining settings don't actually matter for a direct connection. They do apply if you have an IP connection, but as I said, we'll cover that in a separate video. So use the connect button And then briefly, the DevConfig will flash that it's found a device, and then it will load all the information from the AI1. Once the information is loaded, the main tab that we'll be using at this stage is the Data Monitor tab. The other tabs are useful and you can look through them, but there are some advanced functions that may be beyond what we need to cover for this training. From the Data Monitor tab, the main table that we look at will be the public table, and the public table is the real-time information. From the public table, the key parameters that are of interest are fields such as errors, message, and port status. This shows us what the AI1 is doing at any point in time. So right now we can look at the errors and we can see that there was a program restart earlier today, which was when we applied power to the AI1. We can currently see that the excitation port is 0 volts and it was on and then it was turned off at just past 11 o'clock. And we can see that there is one port turned on, the excitation 2 port. Now, after that, we have a lot of water quality information, which shows the recent data from the sonde. And if we scroll down to the bottom of the public table, we can see a section headed by control that allows us to control various operations in the AI1. So the main one we'll be doing is read now. So read now is currently 0, which means false. If we enter any non-zero value, such as 1, and press enter, it will turn that into a -1 to indicate that that is a false, true value, and it will start initiating a reading. So then we scroll back up the top of the program and we can see it says turning on sensor power for manual reading, waiting for power up time, 30 seconds. We can see the time at which that occurred. And we can now see that the switch 12 volts port is on, which is applying power to the sonde. So the exact configuration and messages that are shown here may depend on which sensors you have on your buoy, but that is showing you what the program is trying to do at any point in time. And so if you keep referring to the message field, you can see what's happening. So right now it says allowing time for sonde wiper, and it's saying 14, 13, 12 seconds remaining. And when that finishes, we'll see that the sonde will return data and the values below will update. So once that time elapses, we can see that the values changed and we can make sure that our readings are within the range that we expect. We can also make sure that values appear next to parameters that have sensors fitted in the sonde. So for instance, we do not have a nitrate probe attached to the sonde, so there are no nitrate values, but we do have a pH ORP sensor, so we can see values next to those. So make sure that you're getting the values you're expecting against all the parameters. And once you've got the right values, that's the basic test to make sure that your sonde is talking to your AI1. Now, we can cover some of the other values in later videos, but the key is that the basic functionality is use the Data Monitor tab to look at the public table and look at the real-time information. After you set read now to true to force the AI1 to take a new reading. Okay. Now, the other table that's of relevance is the sonde values table. So this table is the summary of data that is sent to your historian, such as Eagle.io or Hydrosphere. And this shows the actual values that have been stored in the internal memory for transmission to the web page. So this shows you that the time record of that data was 30 seconds past 2 minutes past 11 o'clock. And it shows the values that are being sent to Eagle. So because I've just re-triggered a new read now earlier, we can see that there's an allowing time for sonde wiper, 15, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12 seconds remaining. So when these values update, they will also update in the sonde values table, and then that will initiate a transmission to Eagle.io. And there we can see that the new values have been stored and transmission of data will commence now. Okay, so that is the basic overview of making sure that your AR1 is operational.